What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to the, annual playoff predictions video with my brother, Chris. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Playoff hockey on the horizon. Let's get this thing rolling.
I know, such an exciting time of year. And I should also mention this is going to be a predictions video, so we got the bracket finally. And for us, the playoffs start tomorrow. However, for you guys, it'll start in about 4 hours, hopefully, assuming I get up in time. And neither of us have heard about each other's picks. And I guess, Chris, since you're the guest, let's get right into it. We're going to be starting on the Western Conference first round with Calgary and Colorado.
Well, Josh, really all you need to know here, what happens when fire meets ice? Ice burns. Or ice melts. Ice doesn't burn. That was stupid. Ice melts. And that's basically what's going to happen here in the first round. I was looking at their stats, and both of them have an interesting case. They sort of have a goalie tandem. There's no clear-cut starter for either team. If I had to guess, I would say it would be Riddick and Varlamov. But obviously there's no telling until we see later tonight. But these teams are pretty evenly matched, but I have to give the edge to Calgary here. They have the slightly better depth scoring, and I just think their top guys are going to get it done. Giordano on the back end is really strong back there this year. I've got Calgary winning the series in 5 games.
All right, pretty solid points there. Have to agree with you. Also, we should, like you mentioned, with the goaltender tandem there, I don't want to argue either way as far as, who's going to start in net. Like we said, we're going to see it later on anyway. But whoever starts in net, I'm going to agree with you here. Calgary, don't know what it is. I just wanted to be a little bit different than you. I'm going to go 6 games for Calgary. Then we got the second matchup here where we got the San Jose Sharks versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And you want me to go on this one?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so this is a little bit of a different year for me where I kind of am a little bit smarter than I was last year. I kind of just went with who I wanted to win rather than who I thought was going to win. So it doesn't apply to this matchup, but I thought I should say that at one point. But I got Vegas taking this one over the San Jose Sharks. Now, should also mention the defense from San Jose. You got Burns, Vlasic, Carlson. That's a dominant trio. But Vegas is just so good. I absolutely loved watching them this year. And I don't know what it is. I just have no confidence in San Jose. I mean, they did surprise me a little bit last year, but this year I'm taking Vegas 5 games.
5 games for the Golden Knights. Interesting. See, like I said earlier, I was looking at stats, since I got home from work today, and they told me one thing. Basically, Martin Jones was awful during the regular season. Now, I would know. I drafted him in fantasy. Decent numbers, but were not great by any means. But the one thing that was different when I was looking at the stats of Martin Jones, the playoff stats, the past 3 years, he has been phenomenal in the playoffs. I'm talking goals against average below 2.3 a game. Save percentage around 920, 915. And I think that's what's going to get it done here in this series. Marc-Andre Fleury on the other end for Vegas is good. And, they had their year last year. I don't think they're going to come close to replicating that success this year. They had a great turnaround mid-season, and they've been playing hot as of late. But I think the Sharks will take this one. I have San Jose winning in 6 games, setting up that showdown with Calgary in the second round.
All right, interesting matchup. I mean, like you said, Vegas did absolutely do amazing last year. I don't know what it is, but their playoff intros, I didn't care what happened. Those were just absolutely phenomenal. But let's move on to the third matchup in the Western Conference. We got the Nashville Predators versus the Dallas Stars. Which way you headed on this one?
Just like last year, the Nashville Predators are making some noise here in the Western Conference. If we were playing Hockey Ultimate Team, Dallas in 4, but the height of the goalie doesn't always mean anything in real life NHL. And I mean, heck, Renee's 6'6", so. But either way, Nashville, I love their deadline acquisitions. I think bringing in Simmons and Granlund, and only having to give up Hartman and Fiala were huge for them. They did win their division, 3rd overall in the Western Conference, and I think they played really well this year. Dallas, not so much. They still, for like the past 10 years, it seems, are a one-line team on offense and a one-pair team on defense. I think Bishop will hold his own here in the playoffs, but I think Nashville will ultimately win the series. I have this one going 6 games as well. The Predators moving on into the second round.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I hate that we agree on so many teams here, but I also have Nashville during this one. You basically took my point. Dallas has one line. They have Ben, Sagan, Radulov. After that, not really that much. And then on defense, you got what? Klingberg and Heisman. I forgot about him. And you got Bishop in the net. This isn't Hockey Ultimate Team. Like you said, you can't get it done just with a tall goalie and one line on each forward and defense. I got Nashville in this one. 5 games. Dallas are strange because they're good enough to make the playoffs, but I feel like they can't really. I don't feel like they're good enough to make a run. So 5 games for me. I mean, you said I think 6. I don't know.
Yep.
Now I got Nashville in 5. But now we got our 4th matchup. And we got a pretty good one, in my opinion. We got the Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues. I'll take this one first because I don't really know too much about either of these teams. But I got St. Louis coming out in this one. Now, I do think Winnipeg is a very strong team, and they have very good forwards with the likes of Scheifele, Laine, Wheeler. You could just keep naming them all day long. They got a great not great defense, but they have a really good defense. All right-hand side, it seems like. And, they have a great team. But for whatever reason, I really liked the last couple of games. Not games I watched, but most of the highlights I watched from the St. Louis Blues. I don't know what it is, but I kind of had a little gut feeling towards them, moving them into the second round in 6 games.
Okay, 16. You answered my question. So that was supposed to be my surprise pick, so I'm kind of mad that you stole it. I love my Winnipeg Jets. They're probably one of my favorite teams out west. Obviously, I'm a Rangers fan. Hopefully they're winning, or hopefully they won the lottery. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, love the Jets. They're a great team. Blake Wheeler, one of my favorite players in real life, as is Mark Scheifele. They did really well this year. There's no denying that. Tied in points with St. Louis, but overall second in the Central Division. But St. Louis, man, just like I said earlier with Vegas, they were like in last place in the conference, or borderline last place in the conference, in like the middle of January. And then out of nowhere, they just tear it up the rest of the season, end up finishing 3rd in the Central, good enough to make the playoffs, only 1 point away from Nashville to win the division. Just absolutely huge what they did the second half of the season. Jordan Binnington just played out of his mind, has me reminiscing about Andrew Hammond a couple of years ago in Ottawa, but I think Bennington's going to sustain his success, and that's why I have St. Louis winning this matchup as well in 6 games. Like I said, it's going to be really close. These Jets, they're big guys, and that's usually what wins in the playoffs. I think it'll go 6, but I've got St. Louis taking this matchup to set up a showdown with the Predators in the second round.
Yeah, like you said, this one is going to be a very close series. I almost put 7 games for this one, but either way, this should be a good series all around. But we're moving on to this Eastern Conference now. We got the first round matchup of the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'll let you start this one off.
This one, just like last year, is basically the easiest pick on the board here. Tampa Bay is just insane in all facets of the game. They've got arguably the Hart winner, arguably a Norris finalist in Victor Hedman, a Vezina finalist in Andrei Vasilevsky. They've split up Stamkos and Kucherov. I saw a tweet just a few minutes before we started recording of their lines, and man, there's just no hole in their lineup. They've got 8 defensemen that can play. They're going to have Sergachev on the 3rd pairing to start out these playoffs here. Just insane, the depth, the guys they've been able to find and bring up, just the drafting by Yzerman, who's now gone, but just the phenomenal way they've built up this team. Like I said, the easiest pick of the whole playoffs, I have Tampa in 5. I think Columbus is going to steal a game. Maybe Bob stands on his head. Maybe Panarin gets a hat trick in a game. But this is easy for me, Tampa in 5.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't really have any counterpoints to what you said, but I got Tampa Bay in 5 as well. Tampa Bay's done such a great job developing their own players. You got Stamkos, Kucherov, Palat, Johnson. I could go on and on and on, but they are just so amazing with the acquisitions of Columbus with Duchesne, Dzingel, Kincaid, even though he's a backup goalie. Did they get McQuaid?
Don't forget the face punchers.
Yeah, McQuaid, and they got someone else, I think, too. But, I mean, all that's really good and all, but are they going to be there next year? Probably not. But for this one, they have 62 wins this year?
Yeah,
tying the
record.
Yeah, tying the record for the most wins ever. I mean, it's really hard to argue against that one. So we're going to move on. I got Tampa Bay in 5 as well. Again, like you said, easiest pick of them all. Second matchup, though, we got the Boston Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll let you go on this one.
Man, let me just say that it sucks we get treated to this in the first round every year. Obviously these are two great teams, big rivals. You love to see them battle it out. It sucks because, they both did so well this year, and I feel like they were both higher in the standings than I guess Toronto was this year. The East is just stacked, man, this year. One of the things that I want to mention really quick, people always talk about the seeding of the playoffs 1 through 16. Just like last year, only one team would have made it in that didn't make it. That's Montreal, and they would have kicked out Colorado. So just, something to think about there. It seems consistent that the top teams get into the playoffs. Anyway, Boston and Toronto, man, this is going to be the series to watch. These two teams, as it always is with Pittsburgh and Philly, when they match up, if you get the New York teams, there's just so many good rivalries here in the Eastern Conference, and this is definitely one of them. This series is going to be so close. John Tavares here leading the Maple Leafs into this storm. It's incredible to me how much he impacted the team, and it's incredible, we'll get to in a couple minutes here, how well the Islanders did. But these Boston Bruins, man, there's just something about them. These boys are buzzing here in Boston. Not that I'm in Boston, but you know what I mean. I have this series going 7 games, as anyone should at this point. The Bruins, man, they're going to take it in 7, set up a matchup with the Lightning here. There's just something about them, man. I don't think Toronto gets it done this year. Maybe next year, but Bruins in 7 here, man.
Man, I really hate when we agree. I really do. Because I also have Toronto in 7 games. You also mentioned it, the rivalries there. Just something about Boston. They seem to perform in the playoffs. Such a crazy house back at the TD Garden in Boston. Like you said, Toronto's such a good team. You got Matthews, Marner, Kapanen, Nylander, Tavares. And then you got, 2 good, kind of decent defensemen in Riley and Gardner. But after that, their defense is kind of lacking, in my opinion. I think that's where Boston has the edge on defense. They got Chara, McAvoy. Who else? You got Krug, Carlo. Who's the other one I'm thinking of? Moore and whoever the other guy is. Pretty good. So I think the defense is going to come out in this one with Boston. I also got them in 7 games, like I said. But moving on to the, past Stanley Cup champions, the Washington Capitals, facing off against the Carolina Hurricanes. I'll let you go first.
Man, what a bunch of jerks these Hurricanes are. Anyway, this one is going to be a fun series. It's going to be fun seeing the Hurricanes in the playoffs. 99 points this year, a huge step up. Acquiring Dougie Hamilton, I'll just say this. I think they lost the trade, and that was evidenced kind of by what Lindholm and Hanifin did in Calgary this year. But Dougie Hamilton played well for them, and I think he brought some sort of stability that maybe Hanifin wasn't mature enough to bring to their defense yet. And I think the trade ended up working out for both teams, although, like I said, I think Carolina lost the trade. With that being said, Washington, again, really good this year. Only 104 points, didn't even hit 50 wins. Tampa's the only team in the Eastern Conference, one of 2 teams in the entire league with Calgary to hit 50 wins this year. They're not quite as good, I don't think, as they were last year when they won the Cup, but I still am taking Washington here. I don't have the heart or the stones to give anybody here a sweep, but I've got Washington in 5 here.
Yeah, like you said, the Carolina Hurricanes came out of nowhere. and kind of did some really kind of strange things this year. They're a bunch of jerks, like you said, for wanting to celebrate their wins. Washington, I mean, they won it last year. It's hard not to go with them in the first one, especially with a team like Carolina. You mentioned the trade, Hannafin and Hamilton. I think you said it. They lost the trade. I think we also talked when that happened. We didn't understand the trade because why would you kind of throw your needs where they were? Because you had kind of like a dominant four there in Carolina with Hannafin. You had, who's the other guy I'm thinking of?
Falk, Pesci, and Slavin.
Yep, those four. There you go. And then with, I don't know. The trade doesn't make sense. So I don't know why you'd do that. I don't think it really helped out either team more than the other guy would have, honestly. But I also got Washington here. How many games do you say for this one?
5 games.
5 games, yeah. So we had the same thing again. You hate to see it, I guess, but we're kind of both in the same boat here with Washington taking this in 5. But then we move on to the next matchup, and these two teams have a bit of a rivalry dating back years, back to the Rick DiPietro, Brent Johnson days, with the Islanders versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who do you got in this one?
First of all, shout out Brent Johnson. Secondly, if you would have told me that the Islanders, right after losing Tavares, would come back and make the playoffs, and not just make the playoffs, finish second in the Metro in a strong Metro division with 5 teams between 98 and 104 points, and be sitting here home ice advantage here in the first round of the playoffs, I would have told you you're crazy. So it's amazing to me what this Islanders team has done. I don't even know where they're going to be playing their playoff games, and it doesn't really matter. Pittsburgh, Crosby and Malkin, it's been the same old story for what seems like forever at this point. These guys do not lose, man. They just stay there. They're like a mosquito. You kill one and you think you're good for a little while, and 5 seconds later it's back again. You're like, what the hell are you doing here? I just killed you. And that's what it seems like happens every year with these Pittsburgh Penguins, man. Coming in as the 3 seed, I don't think it's going to matter. It pains me to say this every time. Penguins in 6.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that we have the same points on most of these things, so it doesn't really give me a lot of talking points. But they're intelligent decisions. Pittsburgh, such a good team. They know how to win. Malkin, Crosby. You can go down the list of all the stars that they have, all the good players that have come up, played with Crosby, done really well, and kind of just became mainstays in a lineup. And then you got their defense, which seems like it doesn't really work, but then they make it work. And then in net, you got Matt Murray, which is a whole big story in his own. I don't even understand how the Islanders did so well without a star player essentially this year. I mean, their goaltender was Robin Lehner, out of all people.
Shout out Robin Lehner.
Yeah. Former Buffalo, played in Ottawa.
Calder Cup champion.
And then their defense, I couldn't even tell you probably 2 people out of their defense other than Johnny Boychuk and Nick Leddy, I think. And then their forward group, led by their captain, is it Anders Lee?
Yeah.
How is this team in the playoffs? How? I mean, they're in the first round versus Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh, I think it's just to come out, show their Stanley Cup form, and just absolutely crush them. Somehow I have them in 5, or not Islanders. I have Pittsburgh in 5, but somehow I have them stealing a game. Out of all series, I don't know why I put this one in 5, but I honestly think this one's going to be a sweep, but to be safe, I'm going to go with 5, just in case, the Islanders come out and surprise them somehow. But yeah, Pittsburgh in 5 on this one. All right, we're back with the second round of the playoffs here of the prediction video, and we were just talking about it. There's not many, differences between our 2 brackets. I think the only one I think he said was the difference is Vegas versus San Jose was the only difference we had. But Chris, I'll let you start this one out. I believe you have Calgary and San Jose. Who do you got taking this one?
I do indeed have Calgary and San Jose, and like I said earlier, I'll kind of keep this short and sweet. The difference for me is going to be the goaltending. We know both teams have stars up top. We know both teams have stars in the back end, more so with the Sharks. And the goaltending is what it comes down to because, the top is a wash. And like I was saying earlier, Martin Jones didn't have the best regular season, but he always seems to turn it on in the postseason. And I think that's going to happen again. I think, like I said, Calgary is going to go with David Riddick. He's 26 years old. He's never been in the NHL playoffs before. And even if they had gone with Mike Smith, or even if they do go with Mike Smith, he hasn't tasted the playoffs since 2011, 2012, when I was in high school. That's crazy. I think goaltending is going to be the difference here in this matchup. I have San Jose in 6 in this one.
All right, that's a bold pick out of all the hype you matched up with Calgary there. But on my side, we got Calgary and Vegas. So the only real difference we have out of the entire bracket. This one, like you said, Calgary's got a good forward group. They got a pretty good defense, and then their goaltending tandem of Smith and Riddick, depending on who they even have in net. I guess we'll see that later on. But this one, I'm going to go with Vegas. I don't know what it is. These guys have my gut feeling. I don't think they're going to go nearly as far. I guess it kind of spoils my pick for next round. But I don't think they're going to go as far as they did last year. But I still think they're a great team. They added Mark Stone, which was absolutely huge for them. And I think that only makes them better. I have Vegas in 6. I think it'll be a good series, but I got Vegas coming out on top in this one. Moving on to the second matchup, we got Nashville versus St. Louis. I'll let you start this one off.
So again, like I said, I love Nashville's midseason additions, Simmons and Granlund. I think they're a really, really good team. We talk about their 4 on defense all the time. Rene and net obviously provides a sense of stability for them. But St. Louis, man, this year, they just have something about them. I think Binnington, whether they go with him or Jake Allen, who also has really good playoff stats, by the way, I think whoever they go with in net is just going to be dominant. And they're going to need to be facing this Winnipeg team and then this Nashville team who can both score a lot of goals. I've got St. Louis here, and this one is going to be really tough. I think St. Louis wins it in 6. I think they can't let it go 7 because I think if it goes 7, Nashville will win at home. So I have St. Louis taking it on home ice in Game 6. It's a good year for the guys at the end of the alphabet, Sharks and St. Louis here in the Western Conference Finals for me, Josh.
Wow. I didn't think you were going to do that. You keep hyping up teams, and then the next round after that, you switch up on it. So it's interesting. But this one, I don't know. I have Nashville. I have them in 6. Like you said, it's going to be a great series. Their additions of Simmons and and Granlund. I almost forgot his name again. Absolute great pickups. This one, I mean, Binnington did do pretty good. Obviously, we all know that. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Jake Allen? I guess we don't know yet. I'd probably kind of lean towards Allen just to kind of give experience to him, or given the experience to him. But this one, like I said, I got Nashville in 6. It's going to be a close series, but I got Nashville coming out on top. So now on over to the Eastern Conference. We got Tampa Bay versus Boston. And this one, I guess I'll start off with Tampa Bay has been such a great team this year. I don't know what it is where we doubted them before, but they've always been a great team. This year, they surpassed that. They're even better, which is where I think they're going to absolutely come out in Boston and beat them. I got them in 6 games. It's going to be a good series. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a great series. Boston's got all the experience in the world. They know how to win in the playoffs. Tampa Bay, they're just on another level this year. And, I got Tampa Bay in 6. They're just too good this year. They're just too good.
I saw on Twitter the other day there was a Bruins fan that tweeted that David Krejci maybe had the quietest 73-point year ever, or in recent memory maybe. And I had to go double check to make sure they weren't lying, because that's just insane. Boston has a really good team. As you said before, they're going to get past Toronto in the first round in 7 games. But this second round, man, Tampa Bay, man, Kucherov had 128 points.
Yeah.
That's the highest point total by a single player since either of us were born. Shout out Wayne Gretzky in 93-94. Okay, that's insane. That's 128 more points than I'll ever have in my life, okay? Nikita Kucherov is insane. And obviously, so are these Tampa Bay Lightning. I've got Lightning in 5 here in what may be the easiest cakewalk you may ever see.
You think it's gonna be easier than them versus Columbus?
No, sorry. I don't mean just against Boston. I'm talking about their whole run.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
So you said how many games for them? You said 5, right?
Yeah. Tampa Bay in 5, man.
All right, so we got 5 versus 6 games, so a little bit of a difference there. But then we move on to the matchup that always seems to come about in the playoffs: Washington Capitals versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'll let you start this one off.
So I actually was looking up their statistics earlier, and the last time they didn't match up in the playoffs was 17. No, I'm just kidding. Like you said, it seems like they match up every single year, and man, what a treat it is. Ovechkin and Crosby, Malkin and Backstrom, or I guess Malkin and Kuznetsov. You got Kessel and Backstrom, Holtby and Murray, Letang and Carlson. The matchups just keep coming, man, and they just don't stop. This is going to be a great series, as it always is. But, man, I don't know. Man, the Sidney Crosby guy hit 100 points for the first time since, like, 2004, and he's still not going to get past Ovechkin in the playoffs, man. Rough life. I think Washington will take it in 7. It'll be close, but... man, that one-timer from the left face-off circle is just going to get past Murray one too many times.
All right. I mean, even continue with your matchup if you wanted to. Your matchups of 1v1s there. You got Hornquist and Wilson, and you can just keep going all the way down the list. But I won't because, I want to keep this video relatively shorter than usual. But in this case, this is where we disagree one more time because I don't know what it is. I hate saying it because I don't really hate Crosby, but it's just kind of like the team that everyone kind of hates for not necessarily no reason, but it's just kind of that team everyone hates for kind of no reason. But this one, I got Pittsburgh. If I say anything other than Game 7, I'll probably go throw myself off of a bridge or something. But Game 7, I got Pittsburgh going. Like you said, Crosby did better than usual. Malkin, if he didn't get injured this year, he probably would have been right up there in the 100-point mark range as well. But this one... I think Crosby's going to have a little extra pep in his step this year because the last year he wants to get past Ovechkin. We all know that. Not Pittsburgh. Washington, such a great team. But this one, I got Pittsburgh in 7. Moving on to the Western Conference now. We'll just move right along here. We got the conference finals. I have Vegas versus Nashville.
And then who do you have in the East?
I have Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh.
So you have Tampa, Pittsburgh, Nashville, Vegas?
Correct.
Man, now we're getting different. This is where the video really starts. So I've got San Jose, St. Louis, and Tampa, Washington.
Oh, yeah. So it kind of sucked, when we first started the video because every matchup was just kind of like, okay, yeah, I agree with you. Here's my pick too. But now, like you said, we're getting into the fun stuff. We're about 30 minutes into it. And now is where the video starts. But, like we said, I got Vegas and Nashville in the conference finals. And I kind of spoiled it when I was talking about whichever round it was before this one. But Vegas, I love them. I don't want to call myself a bandwagoner, but their intros to all their games have started to make me a fan. I don't know what it is. Mark Stone's over there. He was one of my favorite players when he was playing in Ottawa. And now he's over with Vegas, which makes it even better. But like I said, I kind of spoiled a little bit earlier. I got Nashville in this one. I'm going to say 6 games. I don't think it goes the distance to Game 7. But this is I won't spoil it. But Nashville going to the Stanley Cup final once again. Just something about them. They're at another level this year.
Shout out Mark Stone real quick. Anyway, so San Jose and St. Louis, this is going to be a great matchup here in the Western Conference Finals. I keep talking about the goaltending, and some years I think the goaltending doesn't matter. I think you could have a 6-foot-tall dude from off the street stand in net, and you could still win a playoff series. This year, man, it's a little different. I don't know what changed, man, but I feel like goaltending is going to be big this year. So you're going to have Martin Jones versus, like you kind of alluded to earlier, I think St. Louis will go with Jake Allen and only use Bennington as a spark off the bench if they need something crazy. So this is going to be a really good matchup. The Sharks versus the Blues here in the Western Conference Finals. I have the San Jose Sharks winning this series in 6 games. 6 seems to be my go-to number, because if it's 7 games, the series has gone on too long. If it's 5 games, you didn't give the other team enough credit. So 6 games is kind of my sweet spot there when I don't know what else to say or when I think it's going to be really close. So San Jose is going to win this one in 6. I think their guys on the back end, Burns and Carlson, are just going to get it done. I think that's where they have the biggest advantage over St. Louis here, is on the back end. And I think, like I said, there's just something about him. It's just going to get it done this year. Erik Karlsson is going to get his first taste, I believe, of a Stanley Cup Finals appearance here. San Jose over St. Louis in 6.
Interesting. And yeah, I don't know how to correct you on this Erik Karlsson point there, but obviously got close. What was it, a couple years ago when they almost beat Pittsburgh? They were 1 goal away, double overtime, and Kunitz put it away there. But for me, it's just gonna be a crazy playoffs. But on to the Eastern Conference now. We got the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, at least I have the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I already have Nashville there. I think it's only right that we just keep the Tampa Bay train rolling. We wanted this, what was it, a couple years ago? Or was it last year? I don't remember. But we wanted Nashville and Tampa Bay in the finals this year. I think Tampa Bay is good. They're on a whole nother level this year, even better than usual. So I'm definitely picking them in this one. I think it'll definitely be a close series, and for me, it's also same thing with what you said. 6 games seems to be the sweet spot. That's what I'm going with here in this one. I got Tampa Bay in 6.
So I've got Tampa Bay against Washington, which is kind of crazy. Like you said, we had 7 of the 8 same teams moving on to the second round in the playoffs, and now we only have 1 of the last 4 teams in the playoffs as the same. So your Stanley Cup matchup is Tampa Bay and Nashville. So Tampa Bay against Washington is going to be a great series once again. The difference between Pittsburgh, who Washington will face in the second round, and the Lightning, who they're going to face in the conference finals, I think the biggest thing is the defense. I think both teams can score a lot, and Tampa Bay, like you said, takes that scoring to a whole other level above any team in the league. But I think the defense is going to be able to get to Washington in this series. They're going to be able to keep them, under wraps a little bit. They have a lot of bigger guys on the back end. You talk about Girardi, you got Chernak, Hedman obviously is huge, Coburn, the list goes on. They just got big bodies on the back end. They're going to be able to handle the physicality of Tom Wilson. They're going to be able to get a body on Alexander Ovechkin, which I don't think Pittsburgh or Carolina is going to be able to do. And that's going to make it really tough for Ovechkin and his line mates and teammates here in the Eastern Conference Finals. I've got Tampa Bay, and I think this is where I'm going to get crazy. I think Tampa Bay takes this series in 5. Ovechkin has just enough, energy left to remind the boys what it was like when they tasted Stanley Cup victory last year. But Tampa Bay is going to take this one in 5. So I've got Tampa and San Jose matching up for the Stanley Cup Finals.
I mean, like you said, we had the same teams to start almost, and now we're pretty much different. Obviously, we both have Tampa Bay there, but it's really hard not to have Tampa Bay there. 62 wins. You said, what, 128 points for Kucherov?
Yeah.
It's insane. Plus, I think Point had, 90 points, plus. And then Stamkos had, around that too, if not more. They've been amazing. Their defense has been amazing. Their goaltender's been amazing. But we got the Stanley Cup final now. I have Tampa Bay versus the Nashville Predators. And although we've been hyping up Nashville and, their trade deadline acquisitions, this year, Tampa Bay is on a whole different level. If they don't win the Stanley Cup the Stanley Cup Finals, I think a lot of people would be disappointed, because if they couldn't win it this year with the team they have right now, with a 62 win team, with Kucherov dropping crazy numbers and everyone going crazy in Tampa, when will they ever win this much and finally make it to the Stanley Cup Finals and win this one? I don't think it's right to say anything other than like 6 or 7 games. I'm going to go with 6. Tampa Bay, I think this is their year.
Man, this would be a lot better of a video if we differed in opinions, but man, come on. This is like saying, all right, who's going to win a one-on-one game to 3? LeBron James or the best player on your adult rec league team? That's how it feels this year. There's no way you don't pick Tampa Bay. The added incentive for me as a Rangers fan is that they're going to get Tampa Bay's first round pick if they win the cup. Still a second if they don't, but anyway, man, Tampa Bay this year is just insane. It will be a travesty if they don't win the Stanley Cup this year. They're probably going to run into some cap trouble here in the offseason. I don't think their window is closed or closing or anything crazy like that. But man, if Tampa Bay was ever going to win one, it's got to be this year. It's reminiscent of the 73-win Warriors in the NBA from a couple of years ago. If they don't win, it'll be insane. There's plenty of reasons why any other team in this playoff bracket can or should win. But man, for Tampa Bay, it's if they don't win, man, that would just be crushing to them. So with all that reiteration being said, Tampa is going to win here. It's weird that I think they're going to play their toughest series in the second round against Boston. I think the Lightning are able to take this in 5. Maybe they, kind of slack off in game 5 to take it to 6 and win on home ice, but I don't think that's going to happen either. The Lightning, man, this is their year. Like you said, 62 wins. Tampa Bay, your 2019 Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, like you said, we kind of reiterate each other's points about Tampa Bay, but it's just so hard to bet against them. 62 wins. I mean, we could just go on and on, repeat ourselves, but we both got Tampa Bay winning it all, and like you said, it would have been a lot better of a video if we disagreed on a lot more. But, this has been crazy. I mean, I'd like to do this every single year if possible. Come on here with my brother that's, obviously a sports guy like I am, and try to predict these videos. And, once it moves on, we'll probably end up doing a recap video as well if we have the time and we're both available. But, Chris, thank you for coming on. Any last thoughts here?
Anytime, man. Like I said, I'm pumped for these playoffs, and man, let's hope this bracket goes way better than my NCAA basketball ones did, and I'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even fill out a bracket this year because I would just try to pick Syracuse to win it all, which never happens. But you know what? You want to hear the hometown team win every once in a while. But like I said, Chris, thank you for coming on. But you guys, if you did enjoy, hit the like button down below. Comment what you guys' predictions are. If you guys fill out a bracket, let me know. Tweet at me at JHoyt74 on Twitter. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.